I was thinking. Recently, I picked up a book about how Dada has influenced contemporary artists, which obviously led me to wonder why Pokémon has been so successful. And as I was waiting for the dentist and the child next to me was playing Rembrandt vs Tiger Woods and whatever the modern word or phrase is for Game Boy, I came to the conclusion that the franchise will be one of those things that future frumpy history teachers who dreamed of strutting over muddy fields as if they'd gotten their degrees from the Ministry of Funny Walks, but got stuck instead instructing 50 metres cubed of adolescent BO, will give us a defining example of the youth culture of a generation. The Victorians had canings and orphans singing about sausages. The new century had children playing with hoops and lying about their age so they could do their bit and be killed in the trenches. The 70s had bicycles with gear sticks capable of maximum ball damage and anxiety over mutually assured beige, and now this generation has cartoon animals drawn by H.H. Giger when he was on those very strong antidepressants and convinced by his doctors to give the cocks a rest for a couple of days. Pokémon is, like me, 20 years old. Shut up, I am! And the first time I encountered it was in its trading card form, which perplexed me as the cards were given immense value by children but were just tatty bits of paper with drawings stamped on them, but I guess I've just described money. And if cigarettes and bitches are legitimate currency in prison, then I suppose Pokémon cards were legitimate currency in schools, although I imagine now it's something way more visceral like pogs or angel dust or semi-naked selfies of each other. You know there's a video game and cartoon, and there's even been a film released every year. You see, Rocky, you can dare to dream. You bum. But as someone who, and I'm going to come clean here, is not a fan of Pokémon, I've always wondered why it's been so successful. I could understand when it first came out and was just a weird craze. The League of Wacky Capitalists can make anything a craze. The yo-yo spring of '98 lasted for months, and there's really only one thing you can do with a yo-yo, and even before that there's not much to get excited about. It's like spending hundreds of quid on a fish tank and exotic fish before looking into the shimmering prison of some stripy alien lives who will now naturally suffer the ravages of age and boredom, never having to flee from a hunter or chase after prey, never threatened or excited but doomed to live only for the sake of not dying, each moment fading into a monotonous blob of meaningless emptiness, and tapping on the window and saying, "This is gay." And fish Pokemon were the worst. Go, bastard McQuack-Quack. What's the point of them? I don't remember Facemouth Kid ever having to go through an underwater stage or whatever. I'm not quite sure what the main facet of Pokemon is. Is it the cartoon or the video game or what? Because I know most people buying the new Pokemon games are pimply men in their early to mid-20s who are so lonely they're capable of sexual attraction to a smiley face made out of 4 lines. Jesus Christ, what I just said makes me sad. Also buying the game are the mothers of such men, as there are surely a huge portion of that demographic who are way too busy heading up regional iPhone sales or studying to become a doctor or architect, or who are just too engrossed by the process of finishing their latest watercolour, presumably of Misty, to buy it for themselves. But you know what, the game's a game, and at least you could justify playing it by saying it helps regenerate the part of your brain the doctors took away. Or it's just something to be actively absorbed, and your OCD is much better spent trying to catch more than it is attempting to make sure your head has an even amount of hair follicles. I can't understand how anyone but a child could possibly enjoy the cartoon. I know you're going to ask me why I've seen them then, and the answer is I was doing some very important research for the government and my mum hadn't come back from the shops yet with Pokemon Zinc. But I do kind of recommend watching it, just like I'd recommend going to a slaughterhouse one time so you can really appreciate ham sandwiches. You won't enjoy it, but fuck me will it stay with you. Again, the historical importance of Pokemon is sealed. It will forever be a prime example of direct marketing to children from the late 20th century, muscling out even the loftiest ambitions of Happy Meal Tat or the whiniest commercials for Barbie or Action Man, so poisonous they must have been put together from documents found on Goebbels' desk. And that's what's made Pokemon successful. It's always been a product, and a product for children no less, who are notoriously inferior to adults and some apes. Most TV shows or video games don't start off as a cynical ploy to suck as much money from their audience, advertisers and networks as possible, like Simon Cowell in Mido Mode, where everything he touches turns to gold and shit. That usually happens around Season 4, but Pokemon was designed to be like that. It's captivating, easily replicable, and doesn't need an archetype to agonise over narrative decisions, like a prefabricated Nando's or Justin the Hamburger Bieber. The creators have grown their franchise into a vast but simple universe across different media, where a kid can get absorbed by collecting cutesy pseudo-animals like a Junior Van Pelt and choosing their favourite and making up a little story in their stupid heads, but won't be confronted with difficult moral questions or a vet giving them the choice between remortgaging their house or putting Plumpy down in such a way that she won't be so much as sleeping as rotting in the ground. Of course, there is the moral question behind the whole concept, a world of people obsessed with capturing magical animals, imprisoning them, training them, and making them fight for entertainment and glory. Pokemon may be shit, and believe me, it is shit, and if you think otherwise, you're a child, but what's wrong with that? It's better than being up a chimney. I'm English, don't you know, and I've heard how the previous generation got their entertainment as children, by chewing on industrial-strength toffees and playing multiple rounds of Seen Not Heard. And that sounds shit too, so if Pokemon provides the spiral-eyed youth with something to munch on, I say developing attention deficit disorder and fostering of narcissistic personalities be damned. Just a thought. You know, Pokemon is like jazz, and jazz is like jello pudding. Now, actually, jazz is like...